So let's talk about the Ladder of Inference. Created by Chris Argyris, this is a very concrete way of looking at how people interpret situations and why misunderstandings occur and why perceptions and facts are not always the same thing. I love this theory. It's one of my favorite theories, and it's one of the ones that I always keep in mind in every interaction I have. Professionally and personally, this can completely change the way you interact with other people. In point of fact, it can help you stay in a place of curiosity rather than judgment, which is the key for having effective communication in many settings. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about the different stages of the ladder. Anytime anything occurs, there is a situation that has occurred, each person that is observing that situation or is a part of that situation begins by looking at all of the observable data. And that observable data is consistent. It is the data. This is where those facts live. And so if you have a situation where you're driving down a street and at the corner you see that there's been a car accident, you can observe within that car accident that there is a Cadillac that has gotten into an accident with a sports car. Both cars are damaged at their front bumper. Standing next to the two cars, there is an older woman wearing large glasses who is wringing her hands. Also standing next to the two cars is a young man who's talking on the phone. You immediately will begin to climb your ladder when you see those facts. So let's climb the ladder with me as we interpret the facts that we just saw. As I've given you this example, each of you has identified selected data that you are going to use to go ahead and begin to form some opinions. Each of us selects that data based on our personal experiences, our education, our upbringing, our personalities. And so different things within my description are going to resonate differently with you. When you've selected certain data, then you're going to interpret that data through your personal filter. So let me give you an example. Let's say that the data you've selected in this example is that the older woman has glasses on. What does that mean to you? Are you someone who wears glasses and knows that without your glasses you really cannot see very well? Are you someone who wears glasses but maybe you haven't gotten your eyes checked in a few years and you're wondering if she can still see through those glasses? So you have to select that data, and each of us, as we select that data, unconsciously is going to assign value to that data. Based on that, we're going to make assumptions. Perhaps you've once been hit by somebody driving a sports car. Is that going to flavor the assumptions you made when you see that one of those cars is a sports car? Is the age of the two people on the side of the road going to have some influence on what you're deciding? Who's driving the sports car? Is it the older woman or the young man? That would be an assumption that you would make. But once you make that assumption, you're going to start coming to some conclusions. So you're going to pull out different elements of that data. You're going to select what is important, and that's what you're going to pull out. You're then going to interpret what that is, make assumption, and come to a conclusion about whose fault the accident was. Now you probably know this is a little bit of a trick question, so you're going to say to me if I ask you, oh, I don't know whose fault it is, but it's in your head, I promise you. Because your conclusions are going to lead to beliefs. Once something has reached a belief level, it's very difficult to change the person's mind because they will take actions very quickly on those beliefs. So if you've driven past this accident scene and perhaps you've been rear-ended by a young man in a sports car because they were texting and driving, you may come to the conclusion that it's the young man's fault. You will believe that, and you will tell the older woman that they can use you as a witness even if you didn't see the accident. This is also true in many other aspects of our life. Think of it like a pond. If you throw a stone into the center of that pond, ripples will begin to form and will come out from the center of the pond. This is your ladder of inference. So as that stone hits the center of the pond and each of these steps are to being taken, we could be moving further and further away from one another on the banks of the pond. And at the end, when actions are taken, what we find is that we're yelling at each other from across a large pond. There are many examples I'm sure you can think of that are similar. So why do I talk to you about the ladder of inference? It's because this is real. It is something you do every single day. It is something I do every single day. In every situation, our brains are automatically climbing our ladders and beginning to interpret that data. It's not about the facts. It's about the perception of facts. And this is what builds our perceptions.